Welcome to Retrobot, the YouTube channel where we feed a friendly space robot a diet of pure nostalgia. I'm Clay, and it is Dawn's birthday! Happy birthday, Dawn.
Happy birthday, Clay. Thanks.
Yes. The most celebrating sound in the universe. So, we've been gone for a while, and I'd like to thank everyone who has joined us tonight because it is great to be back, and it is great to be celebrating Happy Dawn Day here on Retrobot. So we've got little hats, and I've got a bunch of hats, so let's just see how these fit. I got a hat for there, and I got a hat for over here. Let's do a hat for over there, and maybe a hat for over here. Let's do a hat for over here. There we go, and there. Huh? Yeah. Oh, I feel like Sinistar. Beware, I live. Run, coward, run.
Beware, I live.
That's.
Run.
You know, that is still one of the most horrifying video games in the universe. And my wife plays Dead Space. So.
I still get Monstar vibes from Silver Hawks Caw.
I don't think that I ever watched Silverhawks. I saw that it existed, and I kind of, it's like nerp, like weird cybernetic bird people. Not for me.
Come on! They had a guy who drove his ship and played electro guitar. He was a space Silverhawk cowboy.
It takes a lot to be able to look like this and still think that sounds stupid. Just saying. So anyway, what's new? We've got stuff that's new. I've got something that's really new just this week. Okay, it has taken for freaking ever, but I finally got breakdown. So my Menasor is complete. My Legacy Menasor is complete. That is very, very exciting. So, it's not going to be too long before I start making upgrades for him because, that needs to happen.
And let me tell you, I notice him so much. Wait, no, I don't.
Okay, when I look at this guy, he really does feel complete.
Yeah, he feels complete. But,
I mean, having that big gaping hole, and then they had like this hollow there. Although, and I know this isn't show accurate, but I kind of wish that they would have like detailed these panels that fold out with the colors of the guys here, so that kind of gives you the illusion that the guy is so thick that he's filling in the whole space. I think that would be a little bit better. Who knows? They'll probably do a Hasbro Selects version of Motormaster that is more like the original toy, and it has those detailed paints, and they'll sell it for twice as much. Which, we'll.
Or they could do that with the G2 colored Motormaster to go with Shadow Strip they put out in. So we've done one repaint a drag strip in the Legacy Speedia 5.
Right. That
tons
that
of stuff.
Happened.
But
so that the whole Legacy Motormaster, Legacy Stunticons has inspired me because I realized that there is a lot of hate out there for this set. you know, like there are a lot of Transformers fans that just and you know, in a lot of ways you're one of them. You
don't like well,
you don't like the concept.
Well, again, they did better than what I was afraid it would be, which is each Stunticon was literally just a gap filler. The entire trailer, you could make a Menasor. It'd have a lot of holes, but the essence of Menasor would be there without a single Stunticon attached. You at least need to attach Motor Master.
Motor Master is integrated in a absolutely essential way. But admittedly, the rest of the Stunticons just fill them out. But what we get, well, you know, we'll talk about that in the future. But because of the amount of hate that there's been for this toy, it kind of inspired me to go back and look at. Oh, don't die!
Yeah, well, not yet.
Don't die. You've got more birthdays coming. So
maybe
it kind of inspired me to try and go back and see what could be done to make Combiner Wars Menasor work as well in Menasor mode as this one does, because he does have a good Menasor mode. What? No, it can happen. And so I got an upgrade kit, which I think turned out to be like a Chinese knockoff of one of the third party. So I guess that makes it like fourth or fifth party. We got that on eBay. Yeah, we got it on eBay, and some of the parts didn't even line up right, or like it didn't fold up the way that it was supposed to. I have fixed it, so it's better. So it helps. But one of the things that's a big problem with the Combiner Wars stuff is the feet. You know, the hands are actually okay, and especially if you separate the fingers. Like, I've gotten really good at that. I can do that in about 10-15 minutes. You separate the fingers on the Combiner Wars fists, and those hands are actually pretty nice. But the feet are terrible. They're just awful. And I've gotten upgrade kits that have feet, but the problem that I don't like about those is they don't really integrate in a meaningful way into the rest of the team. They very oftentimes break into weapons and stuff, which are bulky and everything. So I've been working on this little pet project, and what it is a set. I'm designing my own transforming robot feet characters that also have a vehicle mode. So since they already integrated Blackjack into Combiner Wars Stunticons, then make a road hugger and a hyperdrive that could also go, except I'm making them to turn into a 2014 Dodge Charger, because that's my car, and there are no Transformers that turn into my car, which I feel like that's wrong. So I have a 3D printer now. That's another thing that's happened in in the last month, maybe? And so I've started printing out parts, so you can see this is a test print of some of the parts I've got so far. You can see the back end of my car, and I've designed a combiner ankle. So this would be the forward and back tilt, and it's got a ratchet in there. And it's let's see, I've got, this would attach in like that, and it kind of cradles the guy. The idea is to have it be a little bit more secure than a lot of the third-party ones, but then also turn into a vehicle, and then it turns into right now it turns into the lower torso of a robot. It turns into a pair of legs. So you just flip those around.
It's got legs.
It's got legs. And
that's
so,
all it can use them.
Yeah. That's really all we've got right now are a pair of robot legs. But so that is a project that I've been working on in the evenings while, before bedtime, just trying to make a transformer. And
as you do before bed, I'm gonna sit down and design a transformer.
You know what it'll be is I'll be designing one tiny part. it'll be okay. I've got this working. Oh wait, this is interfering. Okay, I need to go back and redesign this part and this part. And I'm just using Tinkercad. And if anybody out there has ever used Tinkercad, you will know that it's not really made to do what I'm doing. But
like that's ever stopped you before?
I
think that should be like the second title of the book of your life.
That is. For some reason, my internet view has stopped working. Huh. Okay, it was working earlier when I did a test, and now the internet view is just showing blackness. So wait, device not connected or available. Wait here. I hope that people can at least hear me. So there. Okay, so there we have internet view again. So this is I don't have these parts printed out, but you can see my robot, and I can go over here and you can kind of see the way that the car is going to look and everything.
And those are the exact colors it's going to be printed out in when it's done.
That is not the truth.
It's going to be his car. It's going to be painted as if, I can only afford to paint this thing. It's going to be the Patchmobile.
This is not going to be the Partridge Family Dodge Charger. This is
Come along, there's a Charger we've been printing to make you a Combiner Wars Flood.
It's pretty bad when looking like this, I can still look at you like you're the weird one.
Okay.
So anyway, thank you everyone for continuing to stick with us while I talk about stuff like that. We have a convention coming up. You have a convention.
I have a convention coming up. It is the Du Bois SuperCon. Yes, back from where we're from, little podunk town in
Pennsylvania,
having its own SuperCon and swap meet. Comic books, toys, gaming, original art, crafts, cosplay, and more. The 501st will be there, I've been told.
So how's that taste?
It's okay. It's kind of thin.
So
that is melt in your mouth. You wish it didn't.
I'll bet. But anyway, so it's your birthday weekend.
It's my birthday,
and so we need to birthday it up. And so we've got cake here. You sir are getting cake.
Getting cake.
You are getting cake. There is cake happening. And
he's going the distance.
He's
going
for
speed.
Oh, my ukulele birthday. And a bucket of cake.
My ukulele birthday and a bucket of cake. Oh, my ukulele birthday and a bucket of cake. My ukulele birthday and a bucket of cake.
All right. Now that the lights are out. Okay, thank you, sweetie. And here you go, Dawn. Look at that. That is Dawn's birthday cake. And this is just for you.
Somebody's taking a bite out of it.
Retrobot, what were you doing? Oh man, that's a shame. Somebody took a bite out of your cake while you were digging around in the parts bin, apparently. All right, we have hooray! All right, you blew out the candles. They weren't trick candles or anything. So, all right, here I will give you
hat and the cake. You can wear those things. That's annoying.
You know the problem is I can't hear with cones over my ears. I maybe I could do that.
Whatever makes you happy. I don't.
You know
what? I can.
Okay, you know what? That kind of made a decision.
Come on, I went this long without twinking one.
You know, yeah, I do respect your restraint. That's
But I needed to fill for time while we're waiting for the cake to come, so you know. Oh, there was something you were supposed to be doing.
Pimp
That
that
merch.
All right. Well, speaking of Pimp That Merch, we have a new shirt on our #1 robot site at TeePublic, and there is the latest design for the Dawn Kick t-shirt, which I may have to get one of these.
Come on, it's awesome. I mean, come on. It's giving Retrobot the boot he deserves. Get off the live stream, cruddy robot.
He is not a Retrobot is enjoying the night off, and
In the recycle bin.
he probably he probably was the one who bit into your
He
cake.
doesn't have a mouth.
He does not, but
And it's not claw shaped.
Though that is some deductive reasoning there, but it's obvious that he's the one who bit into your cake because you two seem to have an adversarial relationship.
Oh, what are you talking about?
He has motive and opportunity.
But he
So-
lacks the ability.
There we go. All right. Well, I guess I will eat this piece that has a bite taken out of it because
This I guess I'm gonna have to do this in twos.
that's impressive. That is truly. Well, you know, I don't want to be outdone, so here we go. Inject cake. Here we go. Oh yeah, yeah. That is some good cake. So, yeah, that's happy birthday, Dawn. Oh. All right, wow. All right, thank you, honey. That actually really is good cake. We haven't had cake for, well, I'm trying to think of the last time we had a cake. I did discover that that we have a bread maker. Anybody out there who has a bread maker understands how wonderful it is to have a bread maker. And I discovered recently that it has a button on it marked cake. And I really want to try the cake button. I don't know what you do to make the cake button make cake, but I really want to try it. Like, I feel like I should be able to get a cake mix and just empty the cake mix and the ingredients in and press the cake button and have cake come out. That's what I hope that button does. I don't know that that's what it does, but I'm kind of hoping. So anyway, we have toast.
We have toast. Toast!
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 Oh, there's sprinkles all over my... Huh. That's weird. All right.
Just lick them off. They'll be fine.
Okay. So, wait. I missed. Oh, okay. So, I'm sorry. I was recently told. I was just notified by my finger that I missed the opportunity to say, speaking of bread makers, we have toast. So, a toast to Dawn. Happy birthday to Dawn. Cake. You want to do next?
I'm gonna skip because I'll let you do the next. I'm gonna do
okay.
toast the Thai guy, and Thai guy, you are gonna lose your bet. I saw what he said in the chat. Just telling you. We'll get there.
Okay. A toast to Rob.
A toast to Colini.
A toast to Setsune!
A toast to Osaka Jack.
A toast to Nathan, Connie, Lyric, and Cadence Fillion!
A toast to Hope and Michael D. Oh, yeah.
And
Toast
a
to
toast to Random Troll who got banned! Is there actually somebody named Random Troll?
No. It was a random troll just popped in, made a comment. I'm not gonna. I read it. I will not read it out loud. And Monica
Just
deleted and banned him. It was didn't. He lasted maybe 5 seconds.
All right. Well,
So
I'm glad that Monica is on the case. So, welcome to our Risk-O-Spective.
it is a taste of Europe, and nothing tastes quite like Europe than Red Baron French bread pizzas.
Go ahead, give them the whole thing
Because this is good. See, because it's an Italian food on French bread, mascotted by a German. What does that not speak the continent of Europe right there?
That is.
Just wash that down with some Earl Grey tea, and you have.
And that was your breakfast, right?
That was
So
my
that makes it a
that was my-
continental
that-
breakfast.
That is
That
my
is a
standard
Continental
breakfast.
That's the humor. These are the jokes, folks.
Yep.
These are the jokes. So we are going to start with regular risk.
Regular
right?
risk. So
Yes.
we need the other slide.
We have
we have
slides. There are
slides.
slides here.
And so we got risk standard.
Just so that you know.
And why don't you bring up the maps? And so, like, first
We've
of
got
all,
maps.
first of all, before we get off this one, I was
Okay,
This
here,
was
wait, I
here
can-
is our European map. This is Europe. This is the taste. And can I point out there's a large mass in that European thing?
the big blue one.
Well, the whole thing is blue, but there is
Right, but there is a biggest one.
There is a biggest one. What's that name? What?
Oh wait,
just-
it's going off the
just-
screen. There we go.
I'm just saying. That's just trying to. I just want to point out there that when we make the map of risk here, what's the big chunk right there? Just again.
Honestly, I never knew where the Ukraine was.
What?
There are subjects in school that I was really bad in: geography, history, English, literature. Yeah, pretty much anything that required that you memorize.
They didn't want to
anything.
label that Russia. No, that's Ukraine.
That is Ukraine.
Just
Which
My-
is a rental company where you can rent your own crane.
Yes.
If you have to
little
crane
known
something.
rental crane. Yeah.
If you need, you're building your own private skyscraper, then you don't want to buy a crane. You go to Ukraine and you get these
All
more
right.
of these jokes.
So
More. Thank you.
So
I
what
needed
you
that.
though we're going to look at
I
the
needed
three
that.
risks that basically are all centered around the continent of Europe. What is you got to start with what is risk? What made risk? Risk was a two.
Well, it's dangerous,
Not really.
but it's risky.
It was a game that 2 to 6 players could play, comprised of 42 territories. You had a setup of 35 to 20 armies starting.
Dangerous armies.
They were
Risky armies.
the ones I was used to were little plastic Roman numerals. You had the I-beam, the cinder block, the Sunday dish, and the Big X.
Yes. Not they weren't particularly risky, but it was risky business to play the game.
Well, we have stories about Risk, you know.
We do.
We do. So you would basically, your play turn was draft your armies, attack. If you successfully attacked somewhere, you got a risk card, fortify. That's your procedure. Do that till you're the last man standing. Drafting armies went generally from 3 to 17 per turn, depending on how many territories you're owned. You get bonuses for the continents, as we have here.
Pretty much like real life, the more territory you have, the more armies you get over time.
Some of these are worth
I
more
don't
than
know that
others.
that's true.
I think Australia gets the shaft a bit there as far as, it's. I think it's only worth 2, but I don't know. It's a lot of land. It's all poisonous. I don't know.
You could get an army of scorpions. Like an army of scorpions and an army of kangaroos. Dude, that would take over the world.
Yeah. So you could then get a scaling bonus for turning in sets of risk cards. And those are what were your crunch factor, your what could swing the game if you could.
Right, because people are seeing how many territories you have, and players that really strategize are going to be anticipating how many armies you're going to get and try to prepare for what they think you're going to do.
Right, well, also at the same time, you get to your strategy, your card counting. So usually what happens is it's when do you turn your set in, because when you get to 5, you're going to have one of the conditions to turn in, and you must turn in. It gets, that becomes a strategy in itself. When you attack, the attacker can roll up to, well, I just put it -1 to 3. What I listed as army count of a territory, -1 to 3.
That statement, I don't understand.
Yeah. So
anything
basically,
that you just
all right. So how it worked is, how many armies you got in the territory, you got to roll 1 dice per army, but you subtracted 1 army to a minimum of 1, i.e.
if you had 1 army, you could roll 1 die. If you had 2 armies, you could roll 1 die. If you had 3 armies, you could roll 2 dice. Okay, got it.
Now the defender only, it was just how many ever armies they had, you could roll that many dice.
So the defender has an advantage.
Well, the defender, he gets to roll less dice. He has the advantage if you're on equal numbers.
Okay.
And he also has the advantage that
usually if you were attacking, it was because you had more armies.
Yeah. Well, you would attack with more armies, but you also needed to do that because in the face of when you've got a tie, defender wins. Now, the defender always had the option, he didn't have to roll 2 dice. So you had the strategy of, I'm going to nickel and dime you, and I'll lose 1 this turn. If you want to take my thing of 20, I might make you roll 20 times, hoping I got better odds to get a tie.
Huh. Okay.
And then the one rule is
so it really comes down to being good at rolling dice.
Yeah,
this is why I didn't play a lot of Risk.
And then you have, at the end of your turn, the fortify was you could move in the actual rules.
What has 2 thumbs and sucks at rolling dice? This guy right here. Anyway, so then in the as written rules base, you could move from 1 territory to 1 adjacent territory. Very slow moving of mass armies. So I'm assuming that there are a lot of people that would amend that rule.
Well, they had there was an optional rule that was in it where you had what everyone colloquially referred to as like the baggage train, which is you could go from one territory to another, provided
that you
owned everything in between, and they just long. That's more of the standard way it plays. That's the way it generally plays on the online version of Risk that you can download off of Steam. It uses those mechanics a lot. But,
okay.
So that's the base.
I think Risk. I'd like that better. Yeah.
Yeah, and most people play with that. But again, it's when you look at the actual rules as written, it wasn't like that. And we're going to mention into, as we get into other things, how they changed some of that or whatever. Anything important in the comments? Because I haven't been reading.
Let's see. Osaka Jack says, in the official rules, like how the official rule in Monopoly is that free parking has no benefit whatsoever, but we all know that there was a $500 bonus for you.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of those things. So
well, that's to simulate if you were playing Monopoly in New York and you were planning to steal a car. Because that's how much you would get for the car after you sold it to a chop shop. I'm making that up also.
That's Rob S. Yeah, Rob S says I don't have a physical Risk board game anymore, but still have my PlayStation Risk on CD. I remember playing Risk on a PC, a Tandy PC.
A Tandy 1000.
Yep.
The powerhouse of home computing.
You could play it now versus AI players. You can download from, on Steam.
Yeah, I would still suck.
I would
I would be terrible.
It's,
that is... I'm... Just in case you're wondering, I'm not good at Risk.
Well, yeah, we have a story for that. But Osaka Jack also said, it's not me, Crane, it's you, Crane. So, as you can see, the lovely board
It's not I, Crane, because that would be an Apple product.
That would be, that's the Steve Jobs cranes, yeah.
Right.
They're eye cranes.
And they're white. And they have no controls inside the passenger compartment. Like, you get in there, and there's one button. And
to do everything.
To do everything. And you just have to know the secret gestures to make that button control the rest of the machine.
So, I figured to bring this, up that, once upon a time, many, many moons ago, Clay, had a friend up the street that, they got together, play Risk. And he says, hey, can my friend Dawn come and play? So we get together. It's a 6-player game. It's it's Clay, it's me, it's Joe, his sister. I just recently confirmed it was our one friend that we've played D&D a lot with, Aaron, and one other person. They didn't matter to me. If you remember who you are out there, that's great. I don't remember you. Sorry. No,
was it Joe's first girlfriend?
No. This is before that. This is before that. So. I sit down, they're all playing. So, you see, you got Australia here. So, turn 4, I've already occupied all of Australia, and they're ignoring me.
Because everybody's placing their armies. You should say...
Oh, yeah. We're all placing our armies.
Everybody takes a turn.
We didn't do the random. We did by the rules. You place as you go. So, I've now placed in Argentina and Peru before, I think it might have been Aaron went, hey, wait a minute, because they all went for the high-value territories. They're all placing and fighting up here. So I've got one continent and half of one before somebody puts an army in to oppose me. And they've all, needless to say, this game did not last long because I had the army advantage and I knew how to use it.
Does anybody else out there happen to pick up that Dawn really likes to science the shit out of these games? He will stay up late at night thinking about the ways that he can manipulate the way that the mechanics to his favor. Another reason why I suck at Risk. Okay, anyway.
So I stomped them. Game's over quickly. So we decided, they said, I says, I'll play again if you want to play again, it's fine. So they say, sure. So I put an army down. Everybody but Clay just dog piles right next to me. I go, okay, I see how this is going to go. So I
being a good friend, I'm not going to just dog pile on top of done. Also, I didn't need to. Everybody else is already doing it.
So, I lead them on a merry chase around the board. And Clay's...
Now, I'm just kind of surreptitiously taking whole continents for myself at the beginning of the game, and then everybody's like... So that's probably the only time...
Oh, yeah, you won that completely and utterly, and, again, it was just like, I was never invited to another Risk game with them again.
Osaka Jack says he'll stay up late thinking about game mechanics as the guy who 5 minutes ago said he designs 3D models of Transformers before bed. Touché, sir. That is accurate.
So, anyway,
A toast! He's got me. He's got my number.
Why'd you give it to him?
Because I enjoy sharing my...
So that who keeps calling you late with giving you 3D designs as well? It's Osaka Jack.
Osaka Jack,
Jack,
likes to give me advice on my... That's not true. I'm making that up.
All right, so the first on our sampling platter here.
May I tell a story?
Oh, you make.
Because wasn't it that game with our friend Mike where he was was it Risk that he was saying I'm so good at Risk? Okay, yes. So I do have a Risk story, and I don't have. So I don't mean to prolong the original Risk section, but I don't have stories about Castle Risk, Godstorm Risk, Risk Europe, Risk Underpants Edition, Risk Back Alley Edition. None of those, but I do have a story for this. So we had a friend, Mike. I don't know if you even know Mike.
Is it the Mike that would call you all the time?
No, this was the Mike that dated Melanie for a long time. He was hilarious. I mean, he was just Mike. If you're out there, I miss you.
Was he the one that his mother lived near me?
No,
that's a different guy.
This is
Melanie dated a lot of people, and I don't remember.
But no, this was a guy in Pittsburgh. And he was actually a stand-up comic. He would go and perform at the Funny Bone. He was so much more clever than I was, and we would spar with each other. And he would say stuff that was clever and funny, and I would say stuff that was just annoying and persistent. So he's over at our apartment one night, and we're going to play Risk, and he's playing against Monica and I, and he's going on and on about how good he is at Risk. He is really playing the psych out card hard, and I'm going to say that it worked because both of us were legitimately terrified to play Risk against him. And I've played Risk against you, so I already know what it's like to get stomped. But, so Monica and I pretty much just decided to ignore each other completely and eliminate Mike from the game. And then we declared world peace. The end of the game, and he wouldn't play with us after that. I kind of felt bad because I think we ruined it for him. But it was his Mike. It was your fault. You legitimately terrified us, and we had to stop you before it was too late. So anyway, that's my Risk story.
Yeah, I have Risk story later of basically I probably legitimately made people dislike Castle Risk, but we'll get to that. So Castle Risk. Speaking of legitimately, Castle Risk.
Castle Risk. All right.
So it was
Risk with. So this is a game all about castles and sieges and siege weapons and battlements and arrows being shot down at soldiers with
look at
shields.
This You got a boat out here. There is a castle and there's cannons, but this is Napoleonic era guys. You've got diplomats. You've got you've got Geraldo Rivera here.
You do
with a knife.
You
Geraldo
absolutely
with a
do.
knife. He's gonna he's trying to report on something. So Colleen says that this is her favorite Risk. This box is taken from my original copy that I purchased from Toy Town. Mike's Hardware, Toys and Stereos, and Certified Locksmith. You know, I was in.
Does that still exist?
No, it burned. It burned.
That's
They
sad.
haven't rebuilt it.
That's sad.
And
You know what,
the
here's-
Toy Town part had gone a long time ago.
Here's to you, Mike's Hardware.
You know, I went in there. I ordered it from the guy. Was it Mike? I forget the guy who ran Toy Town. Mike had the hardware store, and the other guy had the Toy Town.
I don't know. I just remember Mike. He got a lot of my money back then.
No, Mike. You remember the guy who ran
Oh,
Toy Town?
I always
You
thought
always
that was Mike.
What's funny is
I thought that was Mike.
years later, we saw that guy in the mall from Toy Town. And he convinces he's leaving. We were both in Valley Dairy, and he convinces us to go back to the arcade and try out the Tester's Uncle Fester's.
Oh yeah,
game.
the Uncle Fester's electrocution machine.
And he's he's talking to us about how the whole thing is just about ultrasonic vibrations, and so he scores pretty good. Clay scores pretty good, but I get on there. I make no indication it affects me at all. And he's like, holy shit. I'm like, it's not that bad. It's just like, yeah, you get that joke like it's an electric shock, but
It feels like it's an electric shock, but actually it's just a vibration.
it's just a vibration, but it's like, But yeah, we met him. But yeah, he got a lot of your money. He got a decent amount of my money, and he would let us.
That used to be
he
the
would
only
let us
place
know.
to get Transformers toys.
He would let us know what he could order in, and I saw. Wait, there's
I
another
bought
version of Risk. I want this.
2 Fortress Maximuses.
Yes, he bought 2, and I helped him carry them 3/4 of a mile. I have checked the distance on MapQuest back to my house.
MapQuest. You just referenced MapQuest in 2023.
I actually probably was Google Maps, but I was thinking it was MapQuest.
It's still MapQuest. It's all MapQuest.
It's all MapQuest. I mean, that's
So anyway, Castle Risk.
So Castle Risk. It is, the version of Risk played on a map of Europe, broken up into several imperial regions. And when you get to the imperial regions, they're straight up Napoleonic era shit. Originally released as a standalone game by Milton Bradley in 1986, the year Optimus Prime died, this game came out.
They were trying to
Hasbro was killing its IPs left and right with movies. We got Castle Risk.
I guess that makes me the new leader.
No, it does not make you the new leader. It was Megatron dying that made you the leader for about 5 minutes.
It was Castle Risk. So
It was not.
they were
Castle
playing
Risk.
a game of
It
Castle
wasn't.
Risk. He stomped him, and therefore you play.
that's
That's
not-
actually what the Decepticons did in the shuttle. They played a Castle Risk tourney to decide who was the leader.
I refuse to believe that Starscream is good at Castle Risk.
Oh, he cheated, but
Okay, I do believe that. I
I'm
will
not saying
believe
he
that.
did it legitimately. I'm just saying, and in the 90s they did a 2-pack or a combined set where you got Risk and Castle Risk, and one board was on one side, one board is on the other, and they used the horrible Castle Risk pieces in that set. Monica has that set specifically, since we're referencing it right at this moment.
Oh, yeah. Risk and Castle Risk. So, yes, you have Risk picture here and Castle Risk picture here. There's a castle. It's a picture of Well, there's a castle in the background. Right
apparently,
there.
somebody does not believe it is European conquest game because somebody has hashed out European. They apparently object.
He's like, I refuse. This is not European. It is just France. It is only France.
So what did they change in that? Which I will actually need the box of Risk here as well. So what they changed is it's a 2 to 6 player game still. The setup is still 35 to 20 armies.
These are things that are the same.
These are the things that are the same. Yes, I'm talking. But what did they change then? I'm going. Well, if I didn't, I figured I mentioned what's the same. But now we're getting to the change. The change, big thing, is the play turn. Now you start with a hand of risk cards. So the risk cards. It's Europe. Europe has castles. Yeah, you can bring up the map in the background.
Europe has castles. There's castles.
Yes, there are castles in
Europe.
But so you would start with a hand of 3 cards from your castle risk cards, and you would, if you didn't have that many, you drew up to that many, and you drew 1. So basically, at the beginning of your turn, you start with 4. And then at the beginning of your turn, you can play some of these cards. Now, what cards can you play? So let me dig out the cards here.
He's digging out cards. We're
take-
just showing the board here.
We'll take long, so.
So it's pretty much a map. You got some numbers at the bottom.
The numbers are important later. Numbers are important.
That's like the number of armies that you get if you trade in cards, right?
Yeah, it's so okay.
So all right. So you've got cards.
I've got cards. So now, the ones you can begin playing with automatically are these 4. The most important one is reinforcements. That's the one that slides under those numbers. First one gets you 3. The next one gets you. Could we slide the board up a bit so a little virtual board? Okay, so get you
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
They just go sequentially up to 13.
14. There's a 14. There's a 14.
Okay, there's 14. So that's how many of these little cards are in there. You also can play a diplomat and the spy at the beginning of your turn, before anything else. Then you do the attack, and the attack is where. Oops, I missed one.
So how is that different?
Well,
like the other Risk had cards.
The other Risk had cards, but none of them had specific cards. They had cards for territories. These are specific cards that you draw up, and then you will play them. So then in your attack phase, you may be using the admiral or the general, and the only one who does not get used by the attacking player is the fireman or the marshal.
The fire marshal.
It's the fire marshal. I mean,
he does look like a fire marshal.
Well, look at what they've done with the telescope. Can we focus in on that?
We can try.
There we go. Just the way he's holding
it. It looks like a hose.
It looks like a hose. He's fondling his hose nozzle.
Well, he also looks like
there.
He's got a fireman's helmet on.
Well, yeah, it's the Prussian helmet, but yeah,
he's the fire marshal.
He's got the pickle hulb on it, which again is a very European siege castle thing. The pickle hulb.
Yes.
Yes.
See, the thing is that I know so little about history that if Don really tried to convince me that was truth, I would probably believe him.
You are either lying or you're stupid. I'm stupid.
There was
history was a bad subject.
Well, there was a time where Clay would not believe anything I told him because I would just tell him
because you tell me bullshit so often
and so so earnestly that he'd believe it, and so, I did it just to be me.
Just to So you don't have Roman numerals.
No, we don't have Roman numerals.
But what we do have is a whole crap ton of shuttle Tideriums.
Yes, my friend Bill Rice always referred to these as the shuttle Tiderium.
That is definitely a shuttle Tiderium. Yeah, There we go. Look at that. That is some shuttle-tideriumness. And that represents what? One army?
One army.
Even though it has 3 sides.
Yeah.
And then this is what, 5 armies?
That's 10 armies.
You know, I'm just going to say that right there, the design of these pieces is counterintuitive. They've got a little 3-sided thing to represent 1 and a 5-sided star to represent 10.
Yeah. So Ty Guy says that the German firefighter coats were the base for the pattern used for the Imperial officer uniforms in Star Wars. So he is a fire marshal. So maybe he is a fire marshal. And Rob says that those pieces could also be Cybertronian Seekers.
They could be. You
They
know
could
what?
be.
This could be a whole bag of Star Screams, and this could be a whole bag of Thundercrackers.
That makes me the new leader.
How? Just a whole bunch of you, crazy psycho.
Thundercracker.
We got Thundercracker here. We got Skywarp.
Well, if that name's
sort of-
Skywarp Black, then who's purple?
Slipstream.
This, that's right, Slipstream.
And then
Where
Acid
did you
Storm.
come from? Don't ask.
and we've got Acid Storm and Sunstorm.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah, we got all Seekers.
Yes.
All Seekers all the time.
Now, so you would play your Risk cards at the end of the turn. Now, here's the thing is, in original Risk, you got your armies and you attacked. In this one, you attack, then at the end of your turn, you place your armies.
Which I feel like that would kind of suck, because if somebody before your turn just goes in and beats you up, and then you can't do anything during your turn until you get your armies at the end, and then another turn goes around and they spend the next turn beating you up, you never get a chance to attack.
Well, again, we'll get into how this game could be. So
Like that to me immediately says.
well,
seems
that's
like
why
a problem.
they refer to this one. This is a stretch. Now, mind you, there
The
is no
strategy is don't play.
you don't fortify. Once armies are placed on the board, the only way for them to move somewhere is attack and conquer. Otherwise, they're sitting there.
So they can't change from place to place.
No.
So you can't do the thing where, like, if you own from wait a minute, this says Russian Empire. Where okay, there's Ukraine.
Yeah, there's Ukraine.
Okay, you own Ukraine, Poland, Saxony, and Bavaria. You can't take your armies from there to there. They just have to sit there.
You shouldn't have placed them there if you were going to need them later. That's how the game worked. Now, you were awarded armies. Didn't matter how many territories you own. You could own, basically, so provided you had your castle.
This game already makes me drink.
If you had your castle and your banner, you were guaranteed
A Hulk?
an amount of armies.
you have a banner.
Yeah,
It
you have a
turns
banner.
into the Hulk.
It turns into a Hulk.
Maybe
I
you
lost,
got the green
on my
armies.
notes that I made.
You got the green armies, and you've got your banner. These are the jokes, folks.
I have the
These
original.
are-
Here's the original rules. Original rules. I'm looking it up.
Th-
'cause
those have yellowed.
well,
Those have yellowed with age.
these.
In fact, these plastic pieces have yellowed with age.
This goes back to 1986, my friend.
You know what? I have yellowed with age.
So, so I just had to look up real quick. Sorry. I put them in the notes and then I lost. I deleted them and I didn't mean to.
Delete. Oh wait, no, that's it's
Cybermen.
Cybermen.
They're
deleted. You will be deleted. I've been rewatching Doctor Who.
Oh, there we go.
Lately, so I've kind of got a Cyberman thing going right now.
Right
Anyway.
right on the back at the bottom it says "spoils, dumbass." So you got 4 armies for a complete for your entire empire.
I feel like
and
this is
6
spoiled when it
armies
started.
for the 6 armies for the independence was a pain. Okay, so like you get 4 armies for having 1, 2, or up to 5 territories generally. Some empires had 6. To get 2 more armies, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You got all of those.
You have to. So in order.
Those are the independent. Unless, of course, what they meant was this independent, that independent, and that independent. I don't think it was ever specific. We always played it. You had to have them all. And now
This
yeah,
game doesn't sound fun.
8 armies for having the banner. So basically, you were guaranteed 8. If your castle stands and nothing else, you're getting 8 a turn at the end of your turn.
Okay, that's.
You can make a fortress and say, "Come at me, bro." Problem is it doesn't really matter because they're getting more. And all you have to do is you have to just take this. You gotta take that. Take the castle. And
now, if somebody takes your castle, then
you're gone. You're gone.
Okay.
That's one of the big things is the fact that you defend your castle because this is the only thing you need to take to wipe the guy off the map, and then you get all his stuff provided you can cover it.
So is there a difference between?
Are we running with Skeletor or not there? In chat.
Oh, Skeletor! Skeletor! Oh my gosh, welcome Skeletor! so, a toast to Skeletor!
I was thinking he might get the band hammer.
Might, but I'll toast just about anybody. Somebody's going to show up.
I mean, I gotta admit that was hard to miss. Even talking about stuff, I was like, okay.
So tell me, is there a difference between a castle that has a banner and a castle that doesn't have a banner?
A castle you have to have a banner on a castle. That's where you keep your banners. You lose the castle, they made it so they could store all the banners. See, they put little holes.
So if you take over somebody else's castle, does their castle go away and you get their banner?
Their castle goes away, and then you stick their banner on your castle.
Ah, okay. See, I wanted to know that. I wanted to understand.
I was getting to that. They don't go on very well, though. I mean, it's okay to do like that, but as you start getting to more than. Though, admittedly, once the game gets to the point where you're getting past 2 or 3 banners,
I feel like you could, give me some more banners. Give me banners because I want to. This is probably the most fun that I will ever have with this game, is seeing what I can do with all of the banners in there.
You can put them sideways, but they don't lay out like.
You can do that. You can make it. Oh, you could do this, and then you could play Trivial Pursuit, and that game is fun.
Yeah, unless you lose to the idiot box question that's not in the idiot box.
Okay, yeah, you know what? We really did. We had a Trivial Pursuit game where, for some reason, the questions in one box were just. Categorically easier.
Well, speaking of the idiot box, Jessica Cheery is here.
That's just mean. No, you're not. I'm not toasting you. I apologize, Jessica Cheery. His brain doesn't work very well because he's had cake. So anyway, a toast to Jessica Cheery, but not you.
I don't care. Random segues are random segues. You come in at the wrong time, you might get the wrong. That's how it rolls with me. I don't pull the punches.
Shameful.
I don't care.
Shameful.
You're shaming me.
But yeah, one of the boxes we lost to his mother and his sister on them getting the question, what is Bruce Wayne's heroic secret identity?
And
that was from art and literature. One of the notoriously most difficult categories for me, and they ask a Batman question. So we just dubbed it the idiot box. And
Well, no, it was the idiot box. We were getting asked questions for what was supposed to be the idiot box. Because the boxes were set out that there were always 2 boxes.
it was after that we
No.
labeled it.
No, because that's why we got so upset, because like we didn't know as much as they did, so we could get questions from the idiot box, because that that's why we played it. You had already said this game has one box that has easy questions and one that has hard for some reason. So,
Oh, hey. No.
she's just adding it to the list.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we totally. It was like, seriously, this should have been in the idiot box.
Didn't we move it into the?
We moved it into the idiot box.
Okay.
Yeah, it was funny. I always remember I do the liquid television noises when we talk about the idiot box.
Yup.
The idiot box.
So anyway, so Castle Risk. Apparently, some people think this is fun. Colleen thinks it's fun.
Back in the day, I liked it, but I was also cruel and brutal with it. Cause so again, you've got now you've got your diplomat. What you do with him is I play it on somebody. We can't attack each other until my turn goes around. So I can't attack you in my turn. You can't attack me in your turn. This diplomat's in effect until it comes around to my turn again. If I draw another diplomat, I can throw that down and just keep you from attacking me until. Now, you have the option to try to get rid of my diplomat. It becomes half card game. You can try to get rid of my diplomat with spies, but you got to play it in your turn and take them out of my hand and hope I don't draw one. But what makes this game broken is the Admiral.
Okay, Admiral Picard.
Yeah. Although it can't be Picard, this man has hair.
That's true. By the way, has anybody been watching Picard? It is so good. Anyway,
so
I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it's so good.
So they give you this.
They give you a boat.
They give you a boat, a lovely little boat.
That's a big boat.
It's a big, especially for this board.
Like
here, well, let's
just pull this out.
I want you to do the overhead for.
Oh yeah,
for this.
let's. Okay, we can press that button and that button, and then press this.
And then wiggle our fingers. And
Look at
do
that.
The pokey. So it fits on the board, but not very well. But what made it broken is, okay, I'm gonna mass all my armies in Yorkshire, where my capital is, and I'm gonna take over Turkey. I could just cross the board. Basically,
In one turn?
In one attack, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Because basically only landlocked countries were safe from an attack from anywhere, but you needed the Admiral to do it.
But it's, well, actually, there are no landlocked countries.
Yeah, there are. Vienna, Bohemia, Bavaria.
No, look, there's a water channel right here.
Well, yeah, but I can't go from Yorkshire to Bavaria.
Well, you can't go like around here, and then through there, and get.
Well, I can only get to Venice.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So just the countries, not the whole territory.
Oh, no,
Got it.
yeah. There are no landlocked empires, but the territories.
Got it. Okay.
I'm
sorry, I misunderstood.
Paris and Moscow became places where people would put their capitals, which is kind of interesting because
so wait, who's saying that? Oh, Monica. So Monica is saying, "I'm king of the world on a boat like Leo. If you're on the shore, then you sure ain't Mio. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. Can you see me, everybody?"
So generally, like how I played this was, so I like being Germans. So I had my capital in Berlin. And my hope for beginning draw would be I needed at least one reinforcement and the Admiral. And I'd have a huge chunk of my armies right here. And this is what I did to countless people first time playing the game. I probably did this to you, Clay.
You probably did.
So
Which is probably what taught me not to like this game.
So generally, you didn't get or didn't decide to take Paris where you. So here's your capital. You have you're third person in the game. I start. Let's say you decide, oh, I'm British. Oh, there's nothing you can do. Oh, let's go safe. Scotland. I am the king of Scotland. I am going to rule the British Empire. And I would just go, boom, and take your capital before you got a turn. And the other thing that this game had was the thing called hidden armies. So I would write down on a piece of paper, you get one territory you get whatever reinforcements are on the board here. Those will spring forth in that territory when you own it and you flip this over. So sometimes I might even combo those to wipe somebody off the map. I couldn't name their capital, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to smash into the territory next to it, make a bigger force, and then take your capital before you even get a turn.
Yeah, that seems broken. Like not getting a turn. That to me is a broken game if a person can get wiped out before they even have a chance to play.
Now, interestingly, in the computer version of Risk, there's an achievement for getting wiped out before getting your turn.
Well, at least you get something out of it.
Because it's in that game they have smaller map sizes, and you can put like 6 players on a 4-player map, and could be easy to get squished if you're the last person in line.
I can feel myself getting frustrated just hearing about how this game is played. I'm not even playing it, and I'm already angry. It's so bad. Why? Colleen, can you tell me why this is fun?
Well, there's more strategy to it, because
What's the strategy?
You have to think about where you're going to attack.
But you don't get to attack because you just wiped me off the board before I got a chance to play.
Well, if you're playing with 6 players, I got to do that to you, but now I got to keep people from doing it to me. Colleen says, well, I didn't play like a meanie like Dawn. Well, you probably didn't win as much.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. At the end of your turn, then now you've taken somebody else's banner, so now you're getting like 32 armies, and so nobody else is taking you off the board because you've already you're already a major power.
There's one thing that the rules don't. There's one downside to it, and we didn't in the game that we played with. I played with Aaron and Ori. The game ended in one turn, I think. Before two of us got to go.
I'm assuming that you won?
No. I didn't get to go.
This happened to you?
Yeah, this happened to me. Well, what happened is basically Aaron took out Ori. Ori had hidden armies right next to my capital due to placement, and he immediately sprung and then attacked me. And in retrospect, that's not how it should have gone, because once I take over your stuff, all of the territories must be covered by armies before you can do anything else. We didn't, and the play is basically make them cover it and use their extras, and they have to end their turn. Because there's more territory than they'll have armies at the beginning to cover. So and we didn't enforce that rule, and that's the only way that could happen. So the downside is I just took all your stuff. I have to cover all your territories now with armies, and that's the only time they can move from anywhere, because
once they're there, then they can't be
begin
unless they take over something and move into that. But then
I can say I don't want Sweden. Anybody want Sweden? Now somebody could say, yeah, I want it, but then they'd be like, no, I want to force you to at least have one less army. Put at least one guy on there, you prick. But admittedly, yes, is it a great balance? No, it's not. the game gets into, once you play it a few times and you learn the mechanics, it becomes very, there are certain things you do, otherwise if the other guy does it to you first, you lose. You just, now we didn't get into like what all the cards do. Like, okay, so you got the general and the fire marshal, right? So this is another thing that goes with the risk attack mechanic, because this adds 1 to your highest die. So you could therefore roll a 7, and therefore...
And speaking of attack mechanics, director Daniel Mason is here. Now see, that's a segue. There we go.
Could have gone with general.
Speaking of generals...
That's what we're talking about. So he would add 1 to your highest die, and so therefore you could beat the... okay. Yeah. Monica's distracting us with type. You could then beat the defenders. We both
the
rolled
defender
6s.
advantage.
Right.
You can defeat the defender advantage.
However, guess what the marshal does?
Gives the defender an extra advantage. So.
Oh, but the thing was, it was only on the highest die. So if anytime you don't win with the highest die, this guy gets killed and goes away. So
So can you reuse the card if you're successful?
Oh, well, once the general goes out, he stays out till you stop. Which means other battles, he's out. Eventually, he's going to die.
But he goes away when you lose a battle.
Right. Well, it's not just that you lose a battle. You don't have to lose a battle, because if you roll 2 dice and I roll 3 dice, I roll 3 4s. One of them becomes a 5. You roll a 6 and a 3. Your 6 beats my 5. The general dies.
So you have to defeat that highest die.
The highest die must always win.
That's what kills the general.
Or the general. And the same thing goes with the marshal. The highest die must always win, or he goes away. But in the defender, he's only out till you stop attacking that territory. Once you stop attacking that territory, you may switch to someone else, you may not. He goes back to their hand. The general, once you've played him, he's out until he dies or you quit attacking. Generally, he dies. Generals don't last long. The admiral...
And then Starscream becomes the new leader.
And then Starscream becomes the new leader. The admiral, as long as you successfully make your landing, he goes back to your hand. And therefore, people know you've got the
admiral. So let's see. Director Daniel Mason says, my online Axis and Allies handle is actually General Confusion. I like that.
Ty Guy says this sounds overly complicated. Well,
it really does.
Well, here's the thing.
A toast to Director Daniel Mason and to Ty Guy.
As you're going to find out, your versions of Risk are going to get more complicated as we go along here. To some degree. Yeah, they get more complicated. And
I killed this. I completely destroyed this bottle of stuff.
Ultimately, this plays like Risk, kind of.
Okay, so we're moving on to.
But I mean.
Oh yeah, we're still on. Sorry, I saw you.
I'm putting things away, but it's one of those things that they kept it very Risk-like, but it plays quite differently from Risk, which is why a lot of people did like it after a while, because it was a different variant on Risk. If you got locked, no, the lids are all over there.
Oh, okay. So if I just
if you got locked, you basically, if you lock yourself into Risk strategy, you will lose at Castle Risk because the strategies change differently. Which is why it became appealing, because you got to a point where I do the same thing over and over again.
Right. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, if you're going to make new versions of a game, I would think that you would want to bring something new to the table.
So changing to a new variant is a bit of a risk, says Director Daniel Mason.
I see what you did there. A bit of a risk. Yeah, because it's... I chose to Director Daniel Mason. All right, so
Yeah. So Rob also says it plays like Risk the way Advance the Boardwalk plays like Monopoly. I don't know. I mean,
I've never played Advance to Boardwalk.
Advance the Boardwalk was an interesting game. I owned Advance the Boardwalk. It was about there were properties and then you built towers and there were it didn't play like it was very loose. I feel Castle Risk plays much closer to regular Risk than Advance the Boardwalk played to Monopoly, because it kind of played like it, not very much.
So
also, the money were
like,
cardboard tokens. It wasn't even real money.
It's sort of like how Pac-Man 2 plays like Pac-Man.
I was thinking.
Spoiler alert! It doesn't.
I was thinking
Pac-Man
what
2 was a point-and-click game. It's derided by Pac-Man fans.
I was thinking it's more like maybe Baby Pac-Man.
Yeah, that's actually. I was being a shit.
Yeah, I know, but I figured go for real. So Godstorm Risk.
Godstorm Risk.
This
If
is
you have a storm of gods, then this is the Risk for you.
So this is basically you've got Risk with your it came out in 2003. You've got your pantheons of your ancient civilizations. You got your Greeks, your Celts, your Babylonians, your Norse, and your Egyptians. Now we have gone from a 6-player game to a 5-player game.
Huh.
So
Okay.
They cut down on one player.
That's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
Commonly, you hear 4-player games, 6-player games. It's weird to get 5 players, but okay. Yeah. I guess that's
now.
so,
I will point out
know,
since the box art's right there. This one we are now at an Avalon Hill. This is the Hasbro has already consumed Avalon Hill. The first one was done by Parker. The first 2 were done by Parker Brothers. Now they have eaten Avalon Hill and also Parker Brothers to smash their game genres together. And so we have an Avalon Hill version of a Risk game set with, mythological pantheons.
Okay.
So you still have your, we're down to 5 players. This board contains 42 territories, which Castle Risk doesn't. I forgot to add them.
Oh, here, let me go ahead and show the board.
Well,
look at
that's
that.
not the board.
That's Risk Europe. That's not Godstorm Risk. That's Risk Europe.
That's Godstorm Risk. So okay, so you got your board, and you have your 6 continents again. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6. Now the interesting thing they did with this one is one of them is Atlantis. That one doesn't exist. Do not worry. It is possible to sink Atlantis and everyone and everything that is on it.
So there's that.
So, taking over the continent of Atlantis might be a bit of a risk.
I see. You use the name Risk.
Yeah.
And so
Well, they do
like
in the original
play
instructions.
on the words. Okay.
They talk about how the army bonus for Atlantis is higher than it should be, given all the factors you would vote for. You'd be like, hey, that gives weight. That is too good to have. Why would you pass it up? Because of the borders you need to defend.
Because somebody could poke a hole in your boat.
Well, somebody could sink it.
Yeah.
But that's so your turn goes like before.
It's probably a Titanic achievement. The Titanic sank.
So you had your standard play turn of draft, attack, fortify with your same 35-20 army setup, your same army bonuses for continents or armies for territories, and you had continent bonuses, and That's not actually in there, but I'm reading off my notes, and that doesn't actually apply.
Nobody can tell. Just
I know,
so you
but-
know, when you're staring up like this.
Yeah. So, the things that they did differently was
I'm not just the hair club president. I'm also a client.
Yeah. So, when you would set up the board, the first thing you would do before anything happened was you would shuffle the deck of territories and place 2 plague tokens, one on 2 territories randomly. Because in this one, you had plagues, and they would stay on those territories forever. And what would happen is at the beginning of your turn, you would go, any territory that contains your armies that has a plague, suffers the plague, and is cut in half.
So wait a minute. You said at the very beginning of the game. So
Your turn.
Oh, the beginning.
At the beginning of your turn, you place the plague lands. Now
So
they're there. The effect of them being there for the rest of the game is whoever sits there gets their armies reduced basically down to 1 as long as they sit there. They become
So is that per
semi-barbaric.
person? Like every player has 2 plagues per
No.
person?
No, you place 2 plague lands before anybody has done anything.
So nobody has placed their armies
Yet.
yet. Okay, you just have 2 plague lands. So why even conquer the plague lands?
Well, because they're eating up continent space. That you may have to go through it to get to where. Remember, you're still playing this kind of like Risk, where you could play it. They give you option rules to play this just like traditional Risk. Now the question is, the plague lands, I would think if you're playing it in traditional, could get tossed out. You could put them in, but now you've added an extra twist. They can make things more difficult. Also, none of your gods that you can have can enter a plague land. And the gods become important in this game, at least if you're playing it. Now,
So this game takes the standpoint that your gods do not care about sick people.
No, because you only have 4 gods. You have the god of sky, which is kind of like your leader god, your god of war, your god of death.
Now, see, I would think that your god of death would love the plague lands.
Well, I'm not saying he doesn't, but he can't go there. It will banish him he'll banish him off the face of the mortal realm. Look, this is how the game is
I feel
played.
like the story is just not holding together here, plot-wise.
And you had the goddess of wisdom. Well, we can get other things
Okay.
that are broken in this game too. But now this game is very different in that turn order is based on betting. See, at the beginning of your turn when you draft,
Do I need to show this?
no.
Okay.
You draft faith tokens. So you start with so many faith tokens in your hand, and you must. I can dig them out.
Okay. I will. You know what? Here, I will do this.
They're
I'll
not all
press
that.
buttons.
They're not all that impressive.
And look, people can see down into the,
The
box.
yeah, which I have.
Oh, grayscale is. Wait here. Speaking of looking down into the box, grayscale is here.
You could have gone with faith tokens. You give me crap for picking the bad ones. You had the easy opportunity to pick a good one.
By the power of grayscale.
It happens to be what you're talking about when they show up. So you got your faith token, not all that impressive, but you start. I think everybody starts with 5 of them, and then you bet. You basically put in bids, and you're gonna put so many faith tokens in your hand, and then
Faith tokens.
then everybody, takes their hand, and then they show how many. But you don't. The person who put that has to sacrifice them. And if you lost your
So if you win the bet, you lose your faith tokens.
if you don't win your bet,
You get to keep them, but the person who wins
the
the
bet.
bet gets to go first.
that turn.
That turn.
Next turn, we're gonna do this thing again.
Now that's interesting. Because
Yeah,
obviously if somebody keeps using up their faith tokens to get the first turn, then they're going to run out of faith tokens pretty quickly.
Well,
And so
you
then
gain
the
more,
other people
you
would
gain
presumably
faith back the next turn. You gain faith equal to the amount of armies you would be granted. But at the beginning of the game, you don't start out getting a lot. Basically, you're getting 3 faith tokens, 3 armies, unless somehow you magically at the setup got a continent, which generally anybody who's
Okay.
playing this isn't playing it where you can pull the stunts like I did. So
far, I'm not hating the concept. It sounds
but
interesting.
next turn it could change hands easily, and so this game
Right.
does not play. And then you've got to figure out who goes in. In the bets go in descending order of who bet next, but then ties are determined by dice roll. But you have to figure out who's each turn. People go in a different order.
Okay, so I can see how that could seem a little bit tedious.
It's tedious, it's a little more time consuming for this.
But I feel like once you got into the rhythm,
It's not bad.
it wouldn't be too bad. And I kind of like that you're not stuck like in normal Risk. If your turn is after somebody that's, say, like you, and just every time you go around, the person before you is just going to thump you, and then you don't really get the chance to do anything during your turn because you've just been thumped. And so then you go around again, and you're hoping you get to do something. Oh, wait. Captain Thumper's going to come and make it so that you don't have any resources to do anything with, and that's just the whole... See, that's not fun.
Well, you've got the idea is if you know you go after me, then you plan for it.
But if you don't even get a chance to do anything before you get thumped, and you just end up in an endless cycle...
Well, the thing is, if you're
The
placing
other-
stuff in the beginning, if you know you're after me, you've got to plan for, well, okay, I want to be far away from him, so he can't do that. You're not randomly placing. You place them. Don't place next to me. Get the F away.
I think that I kind of like the idea that turn rotation
Well,
is
I do like it.
mixed up.
It changes the strategy dynamic
because
because
there is a kind of a self leveling in you don't just have one person that gets an early advantage and then maintains that advantage throughout the rest of the game.
yeah, well, by going first you get an advantage, but by sacrificing those faith tokens, which can be used to summon gods and do other things, or possibly purchase miracle
exactly
cards.
what I'm talking about.
You put, there's a trade-off in the advantage of going first as going later.
I like that. I like, at least on a conceptual level.
Right.
I haven't played this game.
You've just forgotten.
Oh, did I like it?
Did he like? I don't know. I dominated that game with you guys. It was again not fair. But that's because I knew what he was doing and you guys didn't. But I don't play favorites. I go, if you're learning the game, you learn the game. I mean, look, I played. Here's
so
it.
what you like to do is make it so that nobody wants to play again.
Here's the way. I take other games like I learned to play chess. I played chess like at 5-7 years old against my sister, who was 4 years older than me. So she was better at it. She continually won. But here was the thing. Every time I lost, I learned something and got better at it. She never knew how to use knights. She didn't need to. And then I started beating her and she quit because she's like, I don't want to get beat by my brother who's 4 years younger than me. I'm like, I learned from losing.
Well, you learned from playing somebody who is better than you. You don't really learn by playing somebody that is not as good as you are. Yeah, I learned to play chess from my dad, and what I learned about playing against my dad is that I didn't have to try and get his king because he would quit the game if I got his queen. And even if it was a bad trade, like I could lose my queen in the process of getting his queen, but if he lost his queen, he would quit. So I could effectively beat him just by getting his queen.
I remember playing against a kid once who was so he constantly tried to he's like, people crumble if they lose their queen. And so he was actively trying to get rid of your queen. He'd trade queen for queen, and he's proud of it. And one time he puts his thing down. He says, you have to trade queen for queen. or I'm gonna take it. And I went, nope, you missed my pawn. And he was pissed, and he quit playing right there. And then I'm like,
So
the queen is not the. I'm like, you learn to adapt, and
Right,
It's a
right.
powerful piece, but you learn to adapt.
but it is just one piece.
Now, in the original, play for Godstorm Risk, there is something else. There is the epoch chart, because this game plays 5 turns by the official rules.
Apparently, that's a reference card.
It does say reference card on the back.
It's
In
important.
case
Just
you
in case you didn't know, there's a reference card there, so that if it's
This is the underworld, in case you were wondering what this piece is, and it's upside down.
sunken Atlantis, so you can put that on the game board and
When you sink Atlantis.
right, okay.
But, this just goes on the game board, so it's gone away. You can't put it on this way.
Well, at least when you're reading the instructions and saying, okay, we've got each of these things, you know exactly what everything is.
Guess what?
Greek Pantheon card.
And now, if you're playing the Greeks, you have to pick this color. Because it matches this.
Okay.
The pieces are all the same. The color does not matter.
But they have color coded the cards with the pieces.
And
I don't think there's anything really wrong with that.
No, but it's kind of funny how, this is the Greek pantheon god. It is going to tell you the name. So you have Zeus, Ares, Hades, and Hecate, the goddess of magic, on this one. They all are the same, whether you've got Ra, Set, Osiris, and Isis, or Marduk, Gilgamesh, Drusilla, and Ishtar.
So the descriptions of these are the same for each god. They're just different names for
Different.
the gods.
In case you wanted to know, close associations. I questioned some of the choices. I mean, Loki is the god of death on this one. It's not.
No, that's Thor's brother.
Well, I mean,
he's adopted. He's actually an ice giant.
and the Celts. I have no idea about Celt myth. We've got. Looks like could be luck. I think Lu. I think CH could be GH. I don't know.
Lug.
Good
luck.
Yuda,
Good luck.
Arwen, and Brigid. I have no idea if these are accurate or anything. I know nothing of Celtic mythology to verify that they did not appropriate names inappropriately.
So director Daniel Mason says death is an illusion. Illusion. Thus Loki. You know what? Sure. And by the way, not related to Risk in any way, but I'm just going to say that the way that Loki died in not Endgame, the one before it.
Infinity War.
Infinity War was dumb. I kept waiting for them to reveal that he didn't actually die there. He was just faking his death. But no, his strategy to take out Thanos was legitimately to pull out a little knife and try and stab him after Thanos beat up the Hulk. That I'm supposed to believe that as okay. Anyway, I digress.
Maybe Thanos is supposed to be overrated. He's got a weak.
No,
had a weak spot. A little thrush told him that he could just stab him here and be fine, and that's what Loki gets for believing birds. That's where
just,
bird braid plan comes from.
The Loki in the TV show sees that death and is disgusted by it, and I agree. So
Yeah, well, hey,
that makes no sense. No, I mean, I'm a fan of the MCU, but that doesn't hold water.
Okay, so
Godstorm Risk.
Godstorm Risk. So,
We are a storm of gods
So let's see.
playing Risk.
Can I find an entire set of gods without having to dig to the entire bottom of a stack of little pieces.
I'm going to switch views so that they can see you digging through.
We're going through the Celts because the green ones, why not? So, now, admittedly, they did some nice model work on these miniatures. Where do we want to set these? You want to set these up on that
yeah,
cabinet?
I can do that. I can press this button over here, that button over here, and I can do that. And
Set
put
those
them-
over there. And so
we'll do that and that and that.
because, you know,
Actually,
this game gives you some nice I will give them credit. They gave you some quality pieces for this thing.
And now go
You know.
ahead and let's. I guess I have to do it. There, we'll do that. Oh, of course, it's going to focus on the tiny
Where's
type in the background.
Don't you have your whiteboard?
I don't. It's hidden away. But here, I'll just do this. We will force the camera. There. All right. So, there we go. All right. This is going to work. And there we go. Yeah, that's actually.
So there are
kind
your
of-
4 god pieces.
And then we also have.
That is your 5 army piece. So you got 5 little heads in the back of that elephant,
And
and then you got a single dude. That's your 1 army. god.
those are some nice pieces.
Those are some nice pieces. You know, I think that the piecework really upscaled, but this is also a pricier game. It's an Avalon, it's advertised as an Avalon Hill game. It has lots of artwork for other Axis and Allies games, which is kind of funny seeing Axis and Allies predominantly plastered over a Risk game. But
yeah.
so
So what this is?
that's
like,
your Sky God.
Uh-huh.
That's your Death God. Obviously, looks like Palpatine. Why the hell not? Can you guess what the guy with the sword?
Oh wait, here he's facing the wrong way.
Can you figure out what the guy with the swords is?
That's your War God.
Uh-huh.
And this is your Wisdom God.
Right. And those also represent, like, basically you've got that orb and a hand will be the picture on the miracle cards for the goddess of wisdoms or magics miracle cards. The War God, cross swords, that's pictures on his. Sky God, if you look, he's got a little swirling effect under him, and then the Death God's got a skull on his base. So you have, in this game, miracle cards.
Okay, miracle cards.
Well, and you need to perform a labor to get them, and so you have your Sky God cards, and the labor the War God, sorry, cross swords, conquer one or more. So this is your standard Risk thing. You conquer a territory, and you have the God of War out. You get a War God miracle.
So different miracles from different types of gods.
Right. And the gods also having the War God in your army is like having the general. You get a +1 to your highest die.
Okay.
Now, he does not go away just because you lose. He goes. See, the rules here get complex once you get into multiple gods and armies, because when 2 armies clash with 2 gods on either side, only one pantheon. The pantheon on a battlefield are kind of like Highlanders. There may be only one pantheon who exists so you have to have a god's war before you can get to the battle. So you have a bunch of rules to determine. I don't think we want to get into the depth of how you determine a god war. You go until last man standing, somebody has won, and it has.
And then whatever god wins, that's the god that gets to be on
God
the battlefield.
or team of gods. You could have all 4 come smashing against each other, and you keep going till there's one side it only has
until there's only one side represented.
Right. You don't have to get down to one god. You just have to get down to one side. But many times it's hard to have a lot of gods out on the
now let's say that you have a god war,
right,
and you're using all of your gods in your god war, and at the end of it, 3 of your gods are still left. Do you choose which one is going to benefit you on the battlefield?
No, as long as they're on the battlefield, they benefit you.
Okay, so you can. So only one army
Me.
can have
one army can.
pantheons.
Only one army
but
can
it
have a
can't. But it
pantheon.
can be more than one pantheon.
Right. Well, yeah, and well,
Got it.
Some
See,
gods.
I am so good at this game.
Some gods have effects not on the battle, like the goddess of magic or wisdom. You know, so you got hers. The labor is you must roll 3 of the same number. So you could
Yahtzee.
yeah. So what's funny is you are being I'm attacking you. I roll 3 dice. I roll 3 ones. I'm gonna lose 2 armies probably with that 3 rolls.
But you will get.
But
that.
I get one of these, baby.
So okay.
But you can't. But on the same token, you can't roll 3 ones. The Goddess of Magic's effect is you re-roll any 1, and it can't be a 1. So you roll 3 ones, you get this, but I didn't lose. I re-roll them again, and
then-
any 1 will become something. You're guaranteed to only roll 2s because you keep re-rolling. That's the lowest you can roll with her.
Well, that's kind of useful for
the
me.
god- the goddess-
I'm good at rolling.
The
ones.
Goddess of Magic is the most broken of all the gods because
No, I like her. She helps.
Well, hang on. Her labors are artifacts. Once you get them, you play them immediately, and they stay on the board forever. So they're permanent bonuses. Everybody else's cards are one-use shots. Hers stay on the board till the game is over, or somebody has something that can nuke it. Which there are a couple cards that can nuke relics.
Okay.
It is the most, basically what you do is, because when you start your setup, you get a war god. Generally, turn 1, what you want to do is it takes 3 faith tokens to summon a god. So unless you really wanted to go, basically, if you want to go turn 1, you bid 2 and hope that nobody overbids you, or a lot of people bid 2 and you roll off because you want that 3 to put down on your field
To
because
summon the
Goddess of Magic.
Got it.
And she's the most broken mechanic in this game because there's too many upsides to the Goddess of Magic. You know, she does too many good things. And her miracles, again, from that, any god you can always pay faith to buy a card once they're on the field. So she can generate cards, and then every time you buy one, and why not buy one right now when you have the faith? Because they stay.
Right.
Everybody else, you got to pick and choose. The death one, I like summoning the death guy, but we'll get into why he's fun. So, Death God, why don't we do him next? So, his labor, you must have a crypt under your control at the end of your turn in the underworld, which we got to get to what the underworld means. You see, this game is deep. There's a lot to this game. And so you can also buy his, but the major effect of the Death God is when armies clash, usually when they die, they go to the underworld. Unless the Death God is on the field in that battle. If he's on the field, the losing armies can go to the underworld. His armies can go to the underworld. The other guy's armies that died don't go to the underworld.
Are you on drugs?
These are the rules. This game is complex because again. So the Sky God. We'll quickly kind of go. Where's the Sky God's card?
Let's hit the sky.
You must defeat one or more gods on a turn to earn one of his miracles outside of. So you have to get in a god war and win.
Is everybody getting all this? Like, because there's going to be a test at the end of the live
Yeah,
stream.
I know. It's kind of deep, but it's all these intricacies kind of play into how this game plays and how it's like you could play this just like classic Risk, just play with ancient guys on the board and not worry about the gods. Once you start putting the gods on the board, you can't play it by classic rules anymore, and it gets more complex because, like I said, now you have
the underworld.
So your armies died horribly in battle, but unless the Death God was opposing them, they're not done yet. They go to the underworld, at which point there are territories in here. You can't go through the fire ones. You work your way around. So now you march out of your heaven for some reason. I don't know. This is the heaven you're supposed to go to.
I'm staying in heaven when I get there.
No, you're not allowed. You can't. You're not allowed to. And
well,
then
it's not heaven. It's just purgatory.
Here's the crypt that you need to get the Death God card, but there's also the entryway. So what happens is if you're sitting here, there's ways that you can then bring these guys back to the board again from here.
You know what? I'm just going to say that it sucks to be an ancient soldier. Okay? Because you die in battle, and then you go to purgatory.
But they
you
say
don't
it's
get to
Valhalla. If you're playing the Norse, you go to Valhalla to then go around and maybe come back.
They're shortchanging your heaven and giving it purgatory rules, and then your goal is to go back to Earth so that you can die in battle again
for the glory of your gods.
You know, no wonder in Thor: Love and Thunder, like the guy was going around killing gods, because it seems like gods kind of except for that nice god of magic. She's very helpful.
Yeah, she's helpful, but so there's a lot of mechanics to it, and the thing is, so you talk about like getting your butt stormed, and I wipe a lot of your things off the map. Well, guess what? I sent a lot of your armies to the underworld. Now they can go and take over the underworld and make it a pain for me, because there are victory point conditions and other things in the underworld worth having.
And they say you can't take it with you.
So, you see, it's a...
You know, I feel like you don't really like this game that much. I'm getting the impression that, like, by your tone and...
Well, here's the thing. We're talking about... This is getting fairly devoid from Risk. There's things that at first I chafe at. This is an Avalon Hill game. This is not an Avalon Hill game.
It's a Hasbro Hill game.
This can be played as Risk, but once you play it as Risk, it's a different flavored map.
Hasbron Hill? Hasbron Hill. I mean, I thought that was good.
It's a mixed bag. It
seems like it's very high concept.
It's very high concept, and it's very you've got. Now, admittedly, there's a lot of some people say, Risk takes too. I've seen like people talk about Risk sucks because it takes too long.
Well, they've obviously never played Axis and Allies.
I'm like, first of all, if Risk takes too long, you're not playing it right. Because ultimately, if everybody has the same strategy, it's the matter of who has the best luck in implementing that strategy, and it should...
Which is why I never really liked Risk.
Director Daniel Mason says, City on a Hill, if playing as Gilgamesh, I like that they put the pantheons in there. It's kind of neat, and that they give them a different flavor.
I like that things that are an advantage in one sense are a disadvantage in another, and vice versa. Like you said, somebody can go through and kill all your armies, but then you've got all your armies in the underworld, and they can take it over.
And it can become you haven't solved all your problems yet. Now, if all you're playing with under all these complex rules, doesn't take that long to play, because you're only allowed 5 turns, and ultimately, I feel with all this over complexity in the span of 5 turns, to effectively do much with these strategies takes longer than 5 turns for them to pay off. And that's my real problem.
So do you think that the game would be fixed just by adding another couple rounds?
I think possibly. I've not got to play it, test it enough to really see. Because also, it really plays well with more, you need at least, it's up to a 5-player game. not that great as 3. It's okay with 4. 4 to 5 is what this really plays and plays well. And I think it could play with 6, but they didn't give you the pieces for it.
That's because they gave you very spiffy pieces.
They did give you very spiffy
Very
pieces.
that's where you get a 3D printer.
Oh, trust me, I've thought about that. We'll get on to that because let's talk about our last on the plate, the last of the taste offerings, the one that we have seen the map
flavorful
multiple times for.
Yeah, she is she's the nice one in the household. Don't irk her, okay? Because you'll be back on the couch.
I was fine being on the couch. I told her that to begin with. So we will need Risk Europe when you have a moment.
So,
and then
Europe is very risky.
And
thank you, sweetie.
So,
I love you and appreciate everything you do.
Oh, something I appreciate everything she does. I'm just gonna be a shit about it because, well,
it is your role.
Yeah,
it is your role.
Do we got the box art for this next offering? No, we don't have the box art. Can you give me the front of the box because I did want to point out the little wax seal they put on there and what this says. So yeah, all right, we're moving on. Sorry, unfortunately she's a one-woman show and there's a lot of shit that she needs to do. And she's only got so many arms.
All of you out there will never realize how much work Monica does to make these live streams happen.
She's doing a lot.
You have no idea, and I can't do it justice.
So,
but let me just say, when I say that these don't happen without her, it's the truth.
It's the truth. There's a lot going on here. So, tell you what, Ty Guy says a toast to Monica. I think
a toast to Monica. And a toast to Jessica Cherry because she's also awesome.
I never said she's not awesome. Just you walk in at the wrong time when we're talking about something. You don't know what I'm gonna pick.
Don't encourage people not to walk in.
Look, I'm just saying. It could be anything, And that's the way. Those are the rules that I play by. I make no bones about it. And so nothing is a slight. It's random luck. So on the box we've got this is Risk Game, Advanced Rules, Enhanced Combat, Elite Units. It's a premium Risk game. What does that mean? This barely counts as Risk.
It says Risk on the box.
Look, I can write Risk on the box. That doesn't make it Risk. So Risk Europe, released in 2015, is a version that also takes place in Europe. Gee, go figure.
And I will bring up the...
it is much
map.
deeper and more complex approach to wargaming compared to Castle Risk. Risk Europe is also... decidedly medieval flair compared to its Imperial Age trappings of the previous version of Castle Risk. And yes, that is one thing that I have, owning all of these 3, I go, Castle Risk should be called Risk Europe. Risk Europe should be called Castle Risk. Because, so, first off, let's just, pop the side camera. They need to see what's in the box.
Oh, that's a very pretty box. Okay, wait, here, I have to press buttons.
When they say premium, there no lie. They have done a wonderful job. All of the crowns, they're nice little crowns. Nope. There we are. You've got, it's only cardboard money, but, it's decent. You've got, we'll get into individual figures, we'll get into those. This is the first player token. So again, you have a game where you bid, in the opening round, you bid for who goes first. subsequent rounds,
Subsequent.
yeah, additional rounds, additional following rounds, there's a different mechanic for how you figure who goes
Oh,
first.
look! It
You
comes
get-
with castles.
It comes with castles.
How nice!
Because, and these are nice little castles.
Look, these are pretty cool
They're-
looking.
I mean, there is
that is a oh wait here there I'm leaning there we go. Look at that.
yeah.
That's a
I figure
pretty-
when we get to the pieces, we'll
we'll do some
yeah.
camera B work here.
So
Yeah, I'll get that set up. You keep going.
all right. So
You keep going.
now, you get little cards that tell you what. Now I was thinking these are the Hallmark cities. Why do I call them?
Why do you call them Hallmark?
In
Because
the rules,
you care enough to send the very best?
they are listed as Gold Crown cities. On the board, which I don't know how visible it is on our board.
Here I can change that. I can do that.
On the board, you will see that there are yellow circles, gold circles, and black circles with crowns on them. And so the gold crown cities are the ones that got these little. They have little benefits for owning them. The black ones don't. They are just worth crowns. So
let's see. Yeah, there.
So
We'll go
this-
back to this. Since
so
you're
this
referencing
game-
this.
is about he who gets generally 7 crowns. It's adjustable by the number of players playing, but this is also a 2 to 4 player game because they gave you wonderful miniatures for 4 players.
Oh, and that's my cue to switch cameras. There we go. So we go. Oh, boy, that green does not show up at all.
Also, we need to use the back of the board as a backdrop. So,
Yeah, there we go.
I think that's good. The problem with this board does not work as well as the other.
Wait,
turn
here.
upside down. Yeah.
There.
I got it out of the way.
There we go.
Boom.
Okay, so look at that. We got like a trebuchet here.
And the trebuchet swivels. All of the siege units, except for the blue battering ram, move. Each color have distinctive units in and of themselves. Really
ballista.
a ballista.
You got a ballista there.
Now the thing is like it's not just the siege units. Every cavalry unit is different per color.
That's actually really cool. Never gonna get these green ones to show up on camera. I can try. Yeah, that good luck on that one. It's a horse. It's a horse. There's these guys. Oh boy, we got so many little dudes. Like
Yeah, you can't. So okay, you've got a purple swordsman, right?
yes.
And here's a purple archer. All right.
Here, I'll put that
When
one.
those guys are standing in a clump,
Yeah, it would be hard to tell the difference.
and the problem is, it matters in this game. You have foot soldiers, you have archers, you have cavalry, you have siege units. They're not just decorative. They matter. Because you don't draft armies per territory. You buy them.
So all your armies are mercenaries.
Well, okay. So let me
No,
describe.
wait,
let me
you're putting money into marketing for Uncle Sam wants you posters.
Well, you're paying for their armor, their equipment. I mean, you don't just go out there and find guys in the medieval times who happens to have a trebuchet in your backyard. It's not like now where you could go out and find people who have trebuchets in their backyard.
I only have the one. And right now the sling is broken.
But, so you have to pay for those things. So let me just
Scrap lumber.
Anyway, so just to describe, so this is Risk, right?
Yes,
so
so
you buy armies with money.
which is not how any of the other Risk games work.
The cost of the pieces differ depending on which one you are purchasing, i.e. a foot soldier, an archery, a cavalry. They go up in cost. And then they all eventually, when you get to the damage side, you have a table in which siege units roll 2d6 to cause casualties, and they will do casualties on, there's a chart because I don't remember, 3 or higher. Cavalry do it on roll 1 die for 3 or higher. Archers 2 or higher.
So who's the game master in this game?
Well, no. So does this sound like I'm describing Axis and Allies to anyone? Now, when you get resolve combat with the foot soldiers, now you're back to how much army do you have? Roll dice, compare dice, take casualties. But the basic concept of this game is you have a bunch of foot soldiers who are your disposables.
Expendable?
They're your disposables. They're your chumps. They're the cheap ones. They're your casualty. And then you have a couple that do your damage for you that you try to keep from taking till the last minute. Yeah. Director Daniel Mason said you had me at Axis and Allies. And I do like that they have an Axis and Allies mechanic in this. I think it makes it an interesting game. However, we're going to get to, though it's an interesting game, there are some definite drawbacks. Oh, also you have a little banner.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. The banner is for on the board to keep track of how many crowns you have. Though, also, they gave you crowns. I like to put the crowns on the board where the cities are, and then when you take the crown, you know. So, I mean, again, this is a very, well-placed.
Hey, you know what? I think this makes me the new leader.
Okay, Starscreen.
Because I was wearing a crown.
Yes.
That's
so
how
now, like I said, this is a 4-player.
These are the jokes.
These are the jokes.
Just so you know. So we've got now. Who makes Axis and Allies?
Well, at this point, the person who owns Axis and Allies also owns Risk. Oh, that's another thing. So
it's not even a competing game.
It's not.
When it came out, did Hasbro own both?
Yes. What's funny, so Godstorm Risk was an Avalon Hill game. This is Hasbro game. This is 2015. They own both.
Yeah, but you know what? This box.
I feel
this
that
doesn't fit into one of those nice bookcase boxes.
Neither does Axis and Allies. They owned Axis and Allies. They owned Avalon Hill. You could have you made a one Risk at Avalon Hill game. You might as and Axis and Allies they molded into Avalon Hill. You might as well just made this an Avalon Hill Axis. I think this was supposed to be an original concept. Axis and Allies like Castle Axis and Allies or something, But it's like at that point, Axis and Allies doesn't feel like the right brand because everyone thinks World War II, although they do have Axis and Allies World War I, which someday we'll get to. But that day is not today. But
Future birthday.
So each person has you get a deck of cards. And, so yeah, I love
each person gets their own deck, right?
Yeah, each deck has got this one's got a Viking helmet on it, and it's with the Viking themed guys, though they don't call them Vikings.
That's these. That's the blue ones.
You get this.
Vikings love.
You can go. Maybe it's a happy Harlequin smile, or it's a moon and diamonds. I don't know, but it goes with these guys with the curvy swords that feel very Ottoman-like. You've got a fleur-de-lis. That's definitely French. Nothing about that's the lime green ones that nobody wants to look at. Yeah, that's definitely French.
Is that like a racist frog thing?
I don't know.
They're green.
Could
French.
be. If I was making this game, it would be, but I would make it more obvious. Just saying. And then we've got the double-headed eagle crown. This could be Prussia. This could be Prussia, Russia, Rome. You know. And now these guys do kind of look a little... The foot soldiers look a little more Roman legionary.
Ty Guy says, wait, there's a World War I strategy game? Where do I find this?
You gotta... there's Axis and Allies World War I, or you go on to eBay, and there are 2 World War I Axis and Avalon Hill, sorry. There are 2 Avalon Hill strategy games. One's 1914, and one's something else.
And 1914 is a very reasonable price for a game.
Director Daniel Mason says I have 2 copies. Is that 2 copies of Axis and Allies World War I? He's 2 copies of 1914. Nice. Someday I may try to get myself a copy or 2 of 1914. I have not decided to surf the eBay world yet for my expanding my Avalon Hill collection. But yeah, there are Axis and Allies World War I will say, I like their implementation because they do the static trench warfare justice. It's not fun to play as a 2-player game or anywhere to play on the Axis because you are screwed. You have to have the Allies basically 1, play strategy bad, and 2, have a lot of bad luck because the Ottoman Empire.
So you need the people playing the Allies to be mean.
Yeah, because there are some things that they can do in that game that make it really. Basically, Britain can just overwhelm the Ottomans through basically India and ignore the Western Front altogether. And it's kind of a broken mechanic. But that's... So you have, again, these cards. So you start out with this whole deck of cards. And at the beginning of your turn, you're going to choose 2 of them to play. And they go in phase 1 and phase 2. And so what do the cards do? Well, you have Siege Assault, which you have 2 options. It's called Expand into 1 territory, or Maneuver, do a supply line. So you can choose one of those 2 options, and Expand is your attack option.
Which it kind of reminds me of going back to original Risk, where you would take over somebody else's territory and move into that territory, or the expanded rules where people would move through adjacent territories that they own.
Actually, I forgot. The Siege Assault is the special action of this card. And then you have the Expand or Maneuver. Because Siege Assault is the weird thing on this card. You only have 1 in your deck that's like this. So you're allowed to either do one of those 2 options, but you can also do the Siege Assault. What does that mean? That means if you have a siege engine on the board, it can attack an adjacent territory in addition, provided you don't have the condition of it being a contested territory. Yeah. Which is fun when it's the battering ram. You go, my battering ram is launching stuff at you. It's just for siege engines. It's not an actual battering ram.
It represents the idea of a siege weapon. So this is a weapon that throws things, and it can throw things in multiple directions. This is a weapon. So maybe you have multiple guys with multiple tree trunks that are running in different directions.
No. See, at this point, this no longer becomes a Vikings siege ranged weapon. It becomes a Irish, the Scottish, the cable tossers. So they're just chucking logs at you. Just big telephone poles raining from the sky, and you have like thousands of guys in kilts chucking telephone. That's kind of scary.
That's terrifying. All right, so so we have a whole bunch of cards. Do you eventually run out of cards?
Well,
or...
so what? Basically, once you've played 2 cards, they go into your discard, and then you can play 2 more. They go into your discard. You play 2 more. They go into your discard. You're down to your last 2. So this game, you've got strategies in how you're playing the cards. Like I said, you got the special things. Now I talked about how do you change first person or the first person player. You are playing the one that says King Me. So you only got 1 in your deck. You play it on a turn. You choose your 2. Basically,
after you've played all your cards, do you then get your cards back? So you have to go through your whole deck before you get to have access to
because
that
it tells you
again.
Once I've tried to get the first person token with King Me. You will not be able to do it again until you've cycled through all your cards. You only have so many cards in here that allow you to attack. Now, mind you, how do you get money? Oh, there are only so many cards that give you money, and you either collect money or you buy units with it. You don't get any more units till you use one of these, and it takes 1 to buy and 1 to purchase. And guess what?
So do you get money for having territories in this game?
Yes. You get money for having territories in this game. The territories
but only when you play cards to get the money.
And then they have values, like the crowns have values pictured on them, and anything that doesn't have a number next to it, 2, 3, is worth 1 coin. But again, in your entire deck, you can tax once and spend once. So in 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds of play, you're only ever going to be able to replenish your armies once, in theory. There are ways around this. This comes back to the strategy of your shields. And also there's another way to get money too. So your cities are worth, your starting crown, these gold crowns are worth something for owning them. So Stockholm battles every time you are the attacker and win a battle, collect 4 silver coins. So for having Stockholm, every time you win a battle, you get money.
So there are other ways to get money.
There's one way to get money. You own Stockholm.
Oh, that's the only shield that has that ability.
That's the only shield that has that ability.
Oh.
So, but now you can pick that one as your starting city, or you could eventually get it. Rome, you start with 2 crowns. This game is about getting more crowns, so you get an extra crown, but that's it. Not worth it. We'll save these. We'll save the pair that I feel that they kind of go together. Paris, London, Madrid, and Constantinople kind of pair in theory together, and I'll get to that. Berlin, it says expand and spend. After expanding, you may also maneuver. Castle costs 3. So basically, whenever you expanding is an attack option, so it gives you the option to attack, as well as baggage train armies somewhere else. So it gives you maneuverability, and also castles cost 3 less, because castles cost money to build.
Okay, so now we've got. Let's kind of go to the most relevant ones, because I don't know that
right.
Out of context, knowing the very specific actions of each one of these shields, I'm having a hard time, All
right, so you have the trifecta of the tax. London, Madrid, and Paris. London, when you tax and collect money, you may place 2 archers on London. Madrid, if you tax, you may place 4 footmen. Paris, you get 1 cavalry and 1 footman if you tax.
So these are ones that give you more army guys.
So I just collected money to buy army with, but some army just pooped out that I didn't have to pay for. All of these 4 footmen, 2 archers, and a cavalry and a footman cost exactly the same amount.
Okay.
So that's why I view them kind of the same. And
Okay.
they are, if you look on the map, you've got, here's Paris, London, Madrid. They are all on this axis right here. So they become very prized territories to own. Constantinople is a spend, but when you buy one of the a siege unit, you get 4 footmen with it. So
Well,
you don't get the extra unit when you're buying, but that all important siege unit, you get extra army when you put them down. You get chumps.
So
with them.
it's a 2 for sale.
Yeah, and the siege units become important because
So
basically
it's sort of like a value meal, where you get the Whopper value meal, and then it comes with the fries, the drink, and the nugs.
yeah, but unlike the other value meal, it's not really a way to get you to spend more money than you would. You're actually saving money.
Well, you're getting the coupon.
Yeah,
You did the
now
survey.
you need the siege units specifically because you will place a capital that at the beginning of the game that has a castle. This may not be attacked by any force that does not contain a siege unit. It's a castle. You must lay siege to it. You cannot lay siege to it without a siege unit. I always pick up the trebuchet. I think they all should be trebuchets because that is your medieval siege unit. Again, the French get a ballista. I'm gonna chuck arrows at your walls all day long to tear them down. Just saying. Again, that's why those are French because they're stupid. They're retarded. I'm saying it. I don't care.
They could be really heavy arrows.
It's going to take a lot of arrows to take down a wall.
They're it's a ballista.
It's a ballista, but
Detritus carried a ballista.
Yes, but there are not trolls in this setting. We do not have trolls wandering around. And even still, it was a ballista
that's a
that
bit of
people were afraid of being shot at, not walls.
That's a shame. That's kind of a missed opportunity.
Yeah. So
decidedly unrisk-like.
And you've got for Stockholm, or was it not Stockholm? It was what was the other one we skipped? Just for context, Kiev. When you spend, you may recruit units into a non-city territory, which is another thing. When you buy your units, they have to go into one of these little happy crown territories, which may not be close to your objective. And again, you only have so many cards to make guys march forward, and they're usually in conjunction with your ways to attack. So this is a game of slow maneuvers, planned attacks, and that's what makes this game bad. As a 4-player game.
So now we get to the review portion.
Here is the problem. So I talked about how you have this axis of great territories to have on this side. And the other one is Constantinople on the other. In a 4-player game, what happens is usually 3 guys go here, 1 guy goes there. This is to get 7 crowns. There's a lot of crowns over here and nobody to oppose you. Between that and the rules on taxing, spending, and the ability to buy crowns, you can win the game turn 2, and there's nothing, if everybody's set up like this, can do to stop you. Nothing. Doesn't matter. There is nothing. They cannot physically march over armies, all united front, across this map to get you before you've won.
That seems like a genuine flaw in the game. So what you're saying is that this is a flawed game. Don is saying that Risk Europe is flawed.
So Ty Guy says, so new troops are spawned at their home base. Why not just play a real-time strategy game at this point? Well, it doesn't have to be their home base. It has to be one of, like, if your castle, let's say you have Paris, and you've placed, you also own this one. You could tax, and then you can place here so you're closer. But they're still going to march their happy butts across. Generally, when you play this, and also this game starts, you start with 10 army. 10 army, 2 territories. You split up however you want. Every game, no matter the player count, starts 10 armies, your capital territory, 1 adjacent territory. And so
you're, as opposed to other Risk games where you've got a
spread
whole
off.
bunch of
Generally,
territories.
no matter what happens in this game, usually a huge swath of this map is not touched. I have played this game multiple times with people. There are territories that have never seen army on them through 20 playings of this game. Because I play with people that, once they explain the rules to them, they see the play style. And ultimately what happens is first player places first. Second player decides whether they want to be in opposition to that guy or not. So they pick one of the 2 poles usually. And then it's up to 3 and 4 to decide who they want to oppose. And if 2 people gang up on one guy, you just handed it to the guy that you don't have somebody in opposition to. It's a 4-player game. I feel that this game is flawed due to its rules.
Because you're stuck at the territory and the adjacent territory that you start out at, and then movement is so slow that you have to spread from one location and
so you have. I love the mechanic of the cards in that it requires you to really plan out and think how you want to use these. And like I was talking about the King Me card, right? Player 1 goes. If you're player 2 and you play King Me, you get this marker. And you'll be first player. Provided player 3 or player 4 have not also played it at some point in time.
So the last King Me or the first?
Well, basically, no. Every time the King Me pops up, this moves to the guy who played it. So what happens is, like, turn 1, I flip over a card. We move the stuff. Any armies that move into territories, they ain't resolved yet, because we've just done card 1.
Right. Nobody's played an attack card.
Stuff moves in, and that's where territories become contested. And you got to keep track of this. And there's also, now you play card 2 and resolve that. And you do whatever everybody's actions have. So basically, every time King Me pops up in turn order going around,
last person to play King Me is the person who ends up holding the coin.
Well, ends up holding the coin and will be the person who is. So basically, the people who go late, like the person who plays first, has the least chance to become first person later, because the person in the last has the best chance, but it's when do you want to use it. 2 and 3, now it's a gamble. When are you going to do it? And so you get it, you have some of those weird mechanics where what I have played that you don't know played have screwed you.
Right.
Because also, if I attack a territory and you wanted to attack that territory for player 3, he can't have 2 opposing armies, so I just cock-blocked you out. And that was your plan for that.
Invalidated my card.
Well, the thing is, that's why you have 2 options. So you can opt to use the other one. If you don't want to, now your action is completely wasted. So I like there are games that have that mechanic, and I think it works well, and I like that mechanic. But again, in this mechanic, with the goal of getting with 7 crowns, and the fact that so much territory and not that many players.
So really what they needed to do is make some of those really advantageous king spots, like spread them out a little bit more, so it's not just 3 on this side that everybody wants and 1 on this side that everybody wants.
And also, it also puts out, if you allow one, like if Guy places in Paris and no one takes these 2, he can expand and have the big army tax advantage. Like, I've played some of these scenarios out with myself as a 4-player game to see how it works, which is really bloody hard, but I managed. But and like I said, when you get to resolving the army combat, you go, okay, I'm rolling for my siege. Here's how many casualties you take. I'm rolling for my cavalry. I'm rolling. And those are for units on the board, except for the footmen, which is now, it's, how do I have 4 footmen? I get to roll 3 dice, and and you're rolling 2, and, they kept that little mechanic in there just so it's like Risk. Although at this point in time, you've basically made a medieval Axis and Allies, only you get to pick your starting position. And since they wanted to keep the cost down, and every one of these things is a special sculpt for each individual color, like Axis and Allies, you don't want it to be $100 game.
Whoops, here. There we go. The Cones of Dunshire. That's what it is. It is the Cones of Dunshire.
So, yeah.
Oh, nicely done. Yes.
That's a brief overview. That's a brief overview of this game.
Well, we've certainly ended on a high note. Yeah, so essentially, it sounds like you don't like this game.
Okay, so Monica has put up the question, which of these is Dawn's favorite? Which is an interesting question to ask, because I have a very nostalgic feel for Castle Risk. That was the one first Risk variant I was introduced to. I bought it myself. I found it at my favorite place to buy toys at that time when I was, that age. And I was a real bastard to people playing it, and it was fun for me.
That's a good qualifier.
It was fun for me, but
I managed to make sure that a significant portion of the population of the DuBois area would never play that game again.
But what's funny is in some ways I go, it's still kind of simplistic. Godstorm Risk, I like the mechanics and some of the things they do in Risk Europe. But since it's a 4-player game and I can't buy a second box to add pieces because they're going to be the same color.
Rapid prototyper.
I've thought about it. Trust me, I've thought about it.
Or you go to a thrift store that has it. You can get some great deals.
And spray paint them. And spray paint them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Directory says paint them. You could paint them, but but you'd want to paint a lot of the siege engines that are the battering rams, because they don't have moving pieces. Everything else it's fun to have the pieces that move, but those guys you plug an extra guy in. I don't know why they didn't mold it with an extra guy. Everyone you have to assemble.
I would search Thingiverse. If you do have a 3D printer, chances are somebody has...
Well, and you're going to have to make cards for that person, because everything is based on your card draw. Or your card placement out of your deck. What you decide, the 2 cards out of your deck that you decided to place this turn. And, I love the mechanics. I love... there's a lot of cool strategy. If it was a smaller board for 4 people...
I don't think that I have years left in my life to dedicate to learning how to play a game like this.
It's pretty simple once you start playing it.
I mean, it just seems like a lot.
Well, first of all, if you're already used to Axis and Allies, you're used to some of this. And it just grows from there. I mean, honestly, if I had to pick one, it'll be Castle Risk, because I feel it's more playable than this one. Because
so you
where
like
this one
Castle Risk better than regular Risk?
Well, no. I like Castle Risk better.
Because it's asking which is your favorite. That's the question.
Of these?
Oh, okay.
The ones on our tasting plate, the offerings of tonight, the Risk-O-Spective Taste of Europe, which is my ultimate favorite, and I got to go with Castle Risk simply because I feel it's the most playable of the three. Honestly, I've been talking about rapid prototyping. I've been telling Monica I would love to do at some point in time is make a premium version of Castle Risk. And that is, your armies are little Napoleonic era soldiers, and they would be in values of 1, 3, and maybe 5, and 3s would be cavalries guys. Basically, yeah, you don't even need to 3D print it. You could steal parts from my Risk board, the Risk I have now that have those kind of things, and they're 1, 5, and 10. You could use those if you wanted, but they're not really colored to fit the board. But what I would like to do is change it. Germany is no longer Germany. That's Prussia, because it should be Britain, France, Prussia, Russia, Ottomans, and Austrians. And color code things so they fit more of the Napoleonic era. The banners would be banners with stickers on them that represented Prussia, those things. And I'd do it that way.
More historically.
More historic accurate.
Yeah, okay.
And I think I would revise it, and maybe it was not made clear in the rules that of the independent territories, Scandinavia is one section that you can get 6 armies. Italy is one. And the
that would
Iberian
make
Peninsula.
more sense.
Or revisit them. Maybe Iberian Peninsula is not, it's only 3. It's not that tough. Maybe it's not worth 6.
Right. But,
break those neutral
that
nations
would make
out
more sense.
into something like that, and then see how it plays.
It's funny to me. We both have our different interest areas that we have some overlaps, but there are things that you're passionate about, and games and
I have been
games.
working with these rules to make a better version that works like this. I have thought of different ways of doing it. Basically, almost like making a fantasy Axis and Allies. Use your Axis and Allies motif, but put it more in a fantasy vein. Although I do love the strategy of you have a deck of cards, and that
and
their
these are your actions, and
you could play them in different. But
it's
I would
almost like that. What that does is, it's almost like with it, a turn is the entire deck of cards, but it's a way where everybody's taking actions within that one turn, and it's everybody gets to do those actions, but it's a way of ordering those actions, and it's stretching out what is one turn into a series of turns. Director
Daniel Mason says there is a Lord of the Rings Axis and Allies free online. There's a Lord of the Rings Risk, which I've heard is good. I don't, I haven't seen. Now, what is funny is online there is a zombie version of Risk. But that's something that only can be played online because one of the 6 players are the zombies, and they just pop up, and they just kind of roam around, and if you kill them all, then they pop back up again. It's just like, because how the game plays on online is you put all your stuff down, all 5 players do, and then the zombies just pop. Like, you can have a full locked continent, and all of a sudden zombies just pop up that's
pretty much how it works.
And then they just obliterate you before you know it. Yeah, Director, Axis and Allies Zombies, that game is fun. Yes, it is fun. I own it. I've introduced these guys. I own 2 copies of it because it went on sale at Ollie's, and I was like, I will pay less than $20 for another copy of this, and I regretted
Ollie's
not getting
another great place to get.
I regretted not getting a 3rd copy, because you can always use more units, and the detail you go back and watch the thing of Axis and Allies we did. We get to Axis and Allies and zombies, and someday we may do an in-depth of it. But
maybe sometime. At some point on this channel, I would like to be able to do actual gameplays where we're set up with a camera over a gaming table and we're able to play games and just stream that. That would be. We're not quite there yet. This setup is better than the setup that we had about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost, but it's not quite there yet. But looks like we're going to be moving things around again in the indefinite future. So
yeah, actually, Director Damon, that specific one about Axis and Allies was the first birthday stream we did. My first birthday stream.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's it. Anything else that you want to?
No.
As we wrap this up.
No, I think we've covered these three decently well. I'm not doing justice to all of them, but I don't think we really need to get. I mean, I went more.
You don't need to. I mean, when we're just talking about a game in theory, but not playing it, I don't know that we need to go into the minutia of every rule and every action and every
some
card,
of them you got to dig down a bit deep to really get an idea of. So what does this do to really change the gameplay? And
right, but. All right, well, with that being said, I hope that you've all enjoyed this Risk-O-Spective. That's Don TM. So if you have not already, then please give this video a thumbs up, at least if you've enjoyed it. I don't want to make you lie, but
if you didn't enjoy, put a thumbs down. That's fine.
It is engagement.
It
YouTube
is
counts it as engagement.
It
so
counts
I guess,
as engagement. Go for it.
I guess thumbs downs are fine. Yeah, I actually did create a channel called Thumbs Down. I haven't put any content there yet, but my idea is just to use it as a slush bucket for any crap that I want to put online. And the idea is to have the worst channel on YouTube. But this channel has been all-consuming, so I haven't gotten there. Anyway, so we are a small channel trying to get bigger, so if you would be so kind as to hit a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and if you haven't already, then please subscribe and click the bell icon so that you are notified when we do live streams like this one, which at this point are roughly once a month. Whenever Dawn can make it down. And also our Short Circuits videos, which are released throughout the weeks when we have them ready to go, which last week we didn't have any more. This past week we didn't have any more.
Maybe we'll have some time to do some. We'll see.
We'll try and record
also,
some
if you like what we did with Risk and like us maybe to do more in that vein, in the comments, put what you'd like to see. Maybe a different game. Only thing I can say is the big space Risk is off the table. I will never cover that. I don't own any of it. I know people that it's something like there is a version of Risk that has like 27 boards and you start on Earth and you work your way out into the solar system and that whole line. Hex no. Sorry. I will never try to collect that. There's a lot to it. I had a guy, when I worked at Staples, the one manager, he's like, I have files to print it all out. And all the cards can do on business cards. You only need to print out like 500 business cards for it. And, 23 18 by 24 maps.
I kind of salute that.
Him and his friends get together and then they get together on a weekend. It takes up an entire room of tables, and it takes them the entire weekend in sessions. And I don't know if they get the game done from what he's explained to me. I'm like, that one that I forget what it's called specifically. Hex no, will not happen. Just I'm not going to invest in it. Sorry.
And if you want to see us just sit down and play a game, and it's a game that we can fit on this table and just play it out, then we can do that too. Just let us know in the comments what you're hoping to see. So with that being said, our next live stream will be March 10th as we celebrate Monica's birthday, featuring a super exciting topic that is yet to be decided.
It will be a topic that'll be decided. It'll be great watching Clay talk about things he knows nothing about.
Sort of like this live stream. And so, with all of that being said, a toast to Dawn.
I'm gonna skip order again because a toast to Thai guy. I ate no pieces. He said I was gonna. As soon as one box up, I was gonna try to eat them. These are mine. Mine aren't tasty.
Yeah, he's not gonna eat his stuff. He's only gonna eat my stuff. So, a toast to Rob.
A toast to Colini.
A toast to Setsune.
A toast to Osaka Jack.
A toast to Nathan, Connie, Lyric, Cade, and Cadence.
A toast to Hope and Mike D.
A toast to Random Band Troll.
A toast to Skeletor, the other band troll.
A toast to Jessica Cheery, who is awesome and great. We love you, Jessica.
A toast to director Daniel Mason.
A toast to Grayscale. And last but not least, a toast to Monica.
We make her work. We do.
We really do. It's true. All right. So, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you March 10th. Unless we do something else in between now and then. But, so, yes. This is Clay and Dawn. Happy birthday, Dawn.
Happy birthday to me.
Telling you,
Thank you.
to keep it retro. Come on, do it.
Nope.
Keep it retro. Come on, do
Nope.
it. Keep it retro. Come on, do it.
Get back.
Come on, keep it retro.
Blam!
Blam! Blam? That doesn't make sense at all.
Oh, hey, that's the closing screen.
Yeah, but you know we've got the music here.
Oh, okay.
Good music.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. We'll do it again.
All right. Just saying, it's the
I know.
closing screen.
I know, but you know this is catchy.
Get back.